Good evening. This is a case study on implicit bias and inadequate training in the workplace. Implicit biasness is the unconscious attitudes or stereotypes that influence decision making related to hiring, promotion, and daily interactions. Inadequate training intensifies these issues by failing to provide employees and managers with the tools to recognize and mitigate biases. Organizations can build environments that promote fairness, respect, and equal opportunity for all employees by prioritizing awareness, accountability, and continuous improvement. In hiring, for instance, implicit biasness may lead managers to favor candidates who share their cultural background or personal interests, excluding individuals from diverse backgrounds. Studies have shown that resumes with ethnic sounding names often receive fewer callbacks than those with traditional names, despite identical qualifications. Organizations may appear inclusive on the surface, but not in practice. Implicit bias and inadequate training play critical roles in discriminatory workplace cultures. If unaddressed, it may lead to horrible treatment, damaged employee morale, and organizational reputation harm. Biasness leads to inequitable treatment, damaged employee morale, and organizational reputation harm, as stated before. Inadequate training triggers gaps in awareness, insufficient tools for intervention, and inconsistent policy implementation. Without proper training, employees and managers are unaware of the bias systems or behaviors taking place, and it creates a hostile environment for marginalized groups. Employees who lack training struggle to address inappropriate behavior, leading to managers enforcing policies tailored to certain groups. Managers may struggle to mediate conflicts or enforce policies if they lack understanding of a biased nature. This can result in the inconsistent application of anti-discrimination policies, furthering underrepresented groups from promotion or hindering them from doing the jobs. In some cases, managers may unintentionally tailor policies that favor certain demographics, creating additional barriers for those who face workplace discrimination. Here are some examples of bias, bias behavior, and inadequate training in public and nonprofit sectors. Many public sectors, such as police departments, have faced criticism for implicit bias and inadequate training. For example, studies and audits of various police departments in the United States have revealed racial profiling and discriminatory practices against minority communities. A discriminatory culture within law enforcement agencies is created, leading to reduced trust between police and communities they serve. Training programs following federal oversight aim to address these biased behaviors, but lack comprehensive follow-up to ensure effectiveness. In nonprofit sectors, like nonprofit healthcare organizations, they often struggle with implicit bias that affect patient care. For example, research has shown that Black patients are less likely to receive adequate pain management compared to others. This is often due to implicit racial bias held by healthcare providers, which um, is a compound of insufficient training on cultural competency and anti-discrimination practices. Nonprofit hospitals and clinics are increasingly adopting training programs, but inconsistent application and lack of accountability measures weaken their impact. To effectively combat these issues, organizations must prioritize continuous learning, accountability, and systematic change. Only through sustained efforts can workplaces become equitable and inclusive environments for all employees. Managers who lack understanding of biased behavior may struggle to mediate conflict or apply disciplinary measures. This inconsistency creates an environment where discriminatory behaviors are tolerated or go unaddressed, further alienating marginalized employees. Resistance from leadership poses a significant obstacle to effective training. Some leaders may perceive discussions of biased behavior as a threat to their authority or as accusation of their past decisions. This resistance stalls progress and undermines the credibility of DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is a framework which seeks to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly groups who have historically been underrepresented. Employees who experience or witness bias are more likely to feel undervalued and are disengaged, leading to higher turnover rates and reduced productivity. Organizations can face legal trouble and financial loss. Discriminatory practices can lead to lawsuits, fines, and compliance violations. In the public, reputation can be damaged, and this also hinders retention and recruiting of employees. Organizations failing to address these behaviors are at risk for lawsuits, fines, and reputation damage. They can also experience loss of federal and state funding. There are federal and state laws that are aimed at preventing discrimination behavior or practices, such as Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and American with Disabilities Act, to name a few. Recognizing the root of the issue creates an inclusive, fair, and equal work environment. Addressing implicit behavior or biasness and investing in training programs like workshops, continuous education programs, scenario-based learning, and opportunities for reflection and discussion creates that atmosphere. Training should be tailored to the specific challenges and demographics or dynamics of the organization, ensuring relevancy and engagement. This will build awareness, skill development, and policies will be reinforced. By investing in comprehensive training programs, data-driven interventions, and leadership buy-in, organizations can create environments that truly reflect their commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Training alone is not enough to address workplace discrimination. It must be accompanied by a culture of accountability. Managers must model inclusive behavior and set the tone for the organization. Implicit bias and inadequate training are pervasive challenges that can undermine the inclusiveness and equity of workplace culture. This affects decision making, employee morale, and leaves the organization vulnerable to legal trouble. By fostering awareness and promoting equitable practices, organizations can mitigate the adverse effects of biasness, create more inclusion, and ensure all employees feel valued and respected. Investing in these efforts is not only a moral standard, but also a strategic one because it leads to organizational success and sustainability. Thank you for watching.